Welcome to another update. So, I guess the biggest news I'll hit first. We are going to be heading to Shanghai tomorrow for sure. I don't know what lies between here and there, but I have spoken with the consulate and I have been warned not to stay in Shanghai. So, we can get there as long as we don't book a room or something to that effect, then we won't be stuck. If you book a room apparently in Shanghai, in which case they register you there, then, there goes the announcement again. Then you're basically stuck for 14 days on quarantine. So, definitely not something that I want to have happen since we would like to leave. And that's the goal. So, it's my understanding that they'll be able to issue the passport the same day. As long as everything works out. And then we can leave on a little vacation for a while. Now I have to say, and I see that the barrier is still up there on the end of the road. I just wanted to check that. You have to say I'm not very confident that things economically are going to be the same here in China for quite a while. I don't know. I've already seen reports about some large Chinese companies requesting loans to be able to get through this. And that's just not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. And as I mentioned in my other video, there are a lot of... sorry, there's a lot of water and muck here. It's been raining. There are a lot of small companies, small businesses that are not opening back up. So they're already finished. And the worst part, they still have to pay rent. It's really piling up on a lot of these people. So I'm not sure what things are going to look like out here after this whole thing is over. But it's looking pretty bad. For those of you worried about Grandpa, he's continuing to get treatment here in town. So he hasn't had to go to the quarantine hospital for treatment, which is really good. I'm not too worried about everybody here. I mean, I do worry. I think about that if we leave. But luckily, as you can see, we're surrounded by food. So I think they'll at least have food. The town, or not the town, but the little village here, they're all kind of working together. I'm sure they'll look out for one another. And, well, this is just a really crazy situation. Now, a lot of people are bringing up the videos. Now, I obviously do have access to YouTube and Twitter and all of that, and I do see this stuff that's going on. And I can tell you it's most of the problems that they're having is not directly because of the virus. Some of this is because of the government's reaction to the virus. Rather than, quarantining sick people, they just basically quarantine the entire city, whether sick or not. They don't have the resources necessary to do all the testing to see who has the disease and who doesn't, so they can let people out. I'm pretty confident they don't have the medical resources to treat all the people, even though they're throwing everything they've got. But it's not a really good situation when you have that many people. And here comes a vehicle from somewhere. It looks like they're headed out. They're going out the same way that I went. There they go, getting out of here. And from my personal experience, a lot of these people that are dying, it's because, well, they have already got medical conditions. So whether they're sick from the virus or not, they can't get medical treatment because everything in the place is just being absolutely focused on the virus situation. So we're lucky out here, at least, that Grandpa was able to get some help. Other people, like in Wuhan, well, I really don't know what they're going to do. And especially don't imagine there's a lot of truck drivers that are willing to drive in with food for those supermarkets. Not that they're able to go out. That's another one. I have no idea how they're getting food at this point or what's going on. It just sounds crazy. And I am aware of the guy that got forcefully quarantined, even though he wasn't sick. I don't know all the details on that, but yes, I do know about the guy that got arrested or whatever. The Chinese guy that was making videos out there. As I mentioned in my other video, the government is they're taking it very serious. They're saying, already for spreading rumors, however you want to look at that, you can be in prison for up to 3 years. That doesn't mean you will be, but you can be. And for not cooperating with the authorities regarding the outbreak, you can be in prison for up to 15 years. That's very serious stuff. Some other bad news that I'm hearing now, you can get the disease not just from people coughing and sneezing, but apparently just from breathing the air. I guess the thing is airborne. Oh, here come some more people coming out. Anyway, the virus is airborne, and not just in droplets from people coughing, but literally it can survive in the air, I guess, for a period of time. So you can get you're just walking around, there's nobody around you, coughing. Before they were talking about people coughing or sneezing, within 2 meters of you. Apparently now that's not the case. Now it's, who knows? And the virus can survive on surfaces for up to 28 days. And that sounds pretty bad. It doesn't sound like something that I want to stay around while this whole thing is just blowing up. I feel bad, but I really don't want to. I mean, if it was just me, sure, I can go through the experience. I've done a lot of outdoors things and all that. But my son, if I, like I've mentioned in some of the earlier videos, the earliest ones, if I have any chance of getting my son away from this, then, well, I feel like it's my responsibility to get him out. No matter what anybody else says, this is not, I mean, I just keep thinking, like, even if, we did get sick, right now, other places have more than enough resources to take care of people. This place does not. They're being overwhelmed. So I don't want to be caught in that situation. And that's no fault of the Chinese government. I mean, they're doing everything they possibly can to fight this. It's just, this is the craziest virus ever. It can do everything that, is the worst case scenario. It transmits when people are not showing any symptoms. It can survive long periods on surfaces. It floats around in the air, and it's highly infectious, and it's new, so your body doesn't have any way of recognizing it to defend itself. It's just like the perfect storm, I guess you'd say, as far as viruses go. So if I can, I think it's best if I get my son away from that. Now, they're saying in young people, like children above a certain age, it's not showing as much of the severe symptoms, but, well, I don't know. Like I say, it just doesn't seem so great to me. Now, somebody asked how I came to be in China. So I want to go ahead and address that. The first time I came to China was in 2007. And at the time, my perception of China was very, very different. So in my mind, because of things I'd seen online or heard, growing up, China, communism, and police are beating people down in the streets, and, tanks running people over in busy cities. That was my image of China. But I knew someone, and they convinced me to come to visit China. So I finally did. I landed in Beijing. And the first thing that happened was I was absolutely blown away by how many people there actually were. I mean, I knew before coming that there were a lot of people in China. I mean, it's the most populous country in the world. But I was absolutely unprepared for the number of people that were actually there in Beijing. It was really crazy. At first, I landed in the daytime, and I thought there were a lot then. And then when I came out at night to go get something to eat, I was even more shocked because there were just so many people, it was unbelievable. And the longer I stayed, the more I realized people weren't being beaten down by cops in the street, and there weren't soldiers walking around harassing people or running anybody over with tanks. In fact, the police appeared to be, in my eyes, somewhat lazy. They're not lazy, because Chinese cops aren't lazy. But, well, they certainly weren't, attacking people. And, well, that started to change my perception of China. Now, the first time, I think I might have stayed a couple weeks. But then I came back, and I stayed for a month. And then I came back again, and I just kept doing that and staying longer and longer until finally, I've been living here, obviously, for quite a while. And it's been a really good experience. I mean, sure, you have your, difficulties. Sometimes you start to miss things back home. One thing that I really miss a lot of times is Mexican food. And, well, China doesn't really have a lot of Mexican food, obviously. We're a long way from Mexico. When I was living in Beijing, there was a Mexican restaurant that I went to, kind of. It wasn't Mexican. It tasted awful. But, yeah, they had some kind of tacos or something. It wasn't the same. Street tacos back in the States is so good. I wish they had that out here, but they don't. I understand recently they opened Taco Bell in Shanghai. But, Taco Bell's not real Mexican. And they don't have Baja Blast Mountain Dew, so it doesn't count as far as I'm concerned. That was the big winning point for going to Taco Bell when I was back in America. Get a Baja Blast Mountain Dew. They don't even have Mountain Dew in China. It doesn't exist here. It used to. It's really strange, but now, no. Except one time. One time, when I was in Beijing, I found what I thought was Mountain Dew. It was Mountain Dew. It said Mountain Dew on the bottle, and I thought, oh man, all right, So I bought it, and I brought it back home, and I went to drink the stuff, and it took me a second to process just what was going on. Yeah, the taste, it wasn't Mountain Dew. It tasted more like if I broke open a bottle of mosquito repellent and drank it. That's basically what it tasted like. It was terrible beyond description. So Mountain Dew doesn't exist here. I think you can probably buy it online. There are people that, bring that stuff in and sell it. But yeah, no Mountain Dew, no Baja Blast. If that's the deciding factor for visiting a place, well, like I said, you can buy it online, so it's not really a big deal. Now, as far as working and that sort of thing here and making money, well, I've done all kinds of things. So, at one point, I was an English teacher, which you can pay. I mean, if you're smart as an English teacher, you can save up some money and you can do pretty good here. Most of the English teachers that I've encountered, they don't save their money. I'm not saying, English teachers are bad or something, but usually they like to party and have fun, which is fine. Most of them are really young. And, well, they don't, but if you wanted to, you could certainly save up a lot of money and get something started. So I've taught English at one point in time. I worked for an export company, an import company, and I started my own, and that's what I've been doing for business, is importing things from Europe and distributing them here in China. So, yeah, I guess a combination of import and distribution. And as far as who I sell to, it's to stores and that sort of thing. Mostly toys from Europe and some from North America. But that's what I do for business. So that's how I survive out here in China. And that's been going pretty good. But now I'm looking at the situation, and things aren't looking too good. I'm not sure what things are going to be like when this virus thing is done. I think I mentioned earlier in the video, there's already some of the larger companies in China, at least that I consider large, some of the mobile phone companies and different things, talking about how they need loans to be able to get through this. And I imagine pretty soon loans are going to be in short supply. If they're already at that point and this thing just barely started, I don't know what's going to happen. It's been an interesting experience here for the last few years. Starting that business was a little bit scary at first, to think that you're going to take like $20,000 and buy a bunch of stuff that you're not really sure what's going to happen with, but it worked out. So I'm sure it can work out again. I just hope that things turn around, and like I said, we're in a better position to be able to handle this than maybe some other people, but well, we'll hope that things go back to normal, at least somewhat back to normal. As I mentioned, a lot of the businesses that I know are not opening back up. They've already reached their limit, which is surprising, but I guess when you have a restaurant, it costs a lot of money. And if you're not bringing anything in on a daily basis, well, I guess you can go under pretty quick. That's really sad. But maybe it'll make some room for other people to give it a chance. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Right now, it's very difficult to get around. And I don't imagine that tourism is going to be a big thing for a little while. Everybody's going to be staying away. I mean, obviously, nobody's going to... It's like if a nuclear bomb went off, you wouldn't be like rushing to get down to the ground zero as a tourist. It's sort of the same. Nobody wants to catch the new coronavirus. So hopefully soon. And like I said, the government is doing everything in its power to try and contain this and get things under control. They're not idiots. They know what's going on, and they know what the cost is going to end up being if they don't get it under control. So hopefully sometime soon things will be better. But I'm hearing it won't, even the flights coming in and out of China won't return to normal until April. So, and this is it's just unreal. But tomorrow, like I said, we're going to Shanghai, and we're going to see what the roads are like, and we won't be staying in Shanghai, obviously, because if you do that, then, well, you're stuck in Shanghai for 14 days, and that's definitely not something I want to do, especially when there's probably not any hotel rooms, because there's already a bunch of people stuck in Shanghai for the next 14 days. And who knows what'll happen in the next 14 days. They could just close the place off. So, not my goal. I don't know where I'm going to end up going for the next little bit. Maybe I'll start off in Thailand. Maybe we'll go to Europe. I've spent a lot of time in Europe. Been all over the place. It's pretty easy to rent a car and just go visit a bunch of places. My son's never been to Europe, so not that he would appreciate it at 2 years old, but who knows? He seems to like to travel around. It might be kind of fun to take him to somewhere and let him try some new food. He does like food. I just don't know if he's going to like something besides, well, I try to cook him. Yeah, that's something I do try to do every now and again. I try to cook Western food. He seemed to like it when I made spaghetti. And I'm not saying like I'm an awesome chef, but hey, he enjoyed it. He also likes chicken nuggets from McDonald's, although when I tried to give him a, what was it I got? They have, the double cheeseburgers. They do have McDonald's here, by the way. I got one of those. He took a bite of it, and then he just set it aside and started eating the French fries. He didn't care about that. So we'll see. The food in Europe is far superior than what you'd find at McDonald's or something like that. That's just American fast food, which, by the way, after this is over and you come to China and you feel like of course you're going to try Chinese food because you want to be adventurous and try new things, but if at some point you feel like, you want something from America, you can go to McDonald's, and they have Big Macs and double cheeseburgers and everything just like back home, and it tastes exactly the same. So take comfort in that. KFC is a little different. You still have the fried chicken and all, but they have some items that are not the same. If you do go there, I highly recommend getting they call it a Beijing wrap. And those are really good. I like them anyway. You might taste it and say, what are you thinking? This is the most awful thing. But in my opinion, it's pretty good. KFC used to be really high quality here. It's kind of gotten to where it's about like America when you go to KFC. But it's still okay. It's still pretty good. It's very popular here in China. Another one they've got is Pizza Hut. You can always go to Pizza Hut, but you might be disappointed at the size of the pizza. The large is more like a medium in America, and how would I describe it? It's definitely more expensive. So for that size of a pizza, it's going to be $15 or more equivalent. McDonald's is about the same price. I think Starbucks is maybe a little more expensive if you like coffee. They do have Starbucks everywhere, so you can get that. Yeah. They also have Burger King, so if you prefer the flame-broiled variety of burger, well, they've got that as well. But I highly recommend, if you want Western food, to find out where the expats are going, and you can get some good stuff that way. Some not fast food, but real food. Oh, I did want to mention one thing about if you go to McDonald's. And I know in the United States they have like the apple pie things. They don't have apple pie in China. In fact, they have two kinds of pie. One is a pineapple, which is a little closer because it's actually fruit. And the other one is a taro pie, which is basically like purple potato type stuff, which is interesting. I'll eat it. The crust part is pretty good. The inside is just a little bit strange. You know, slimy purple potato stuff that's sweet. I don't know. If you come to China, give it a try, I guess, just so you can say like you did. But there's no apple pies at McDonald's here. Just those two. But beyond that, well, no, okay, they've got some strange burgers too. I never try those because usually when I go to McDonald's, I want something that I'm familiar with. Not like a weird hamburger with pineapples and like dried fish stuff on it. That's not usually why I would go to McDonald's. If I want something strange like that, I can just go to a Chinese restaurant and try something from there. Which there is some good Chinese food. This is good Chinese food. After the whole thing is over again, I'll have to showcase some of that so you can see what there is to eat around here. Most of the time it's really good. Sometimes the textures are a little strange, but well, there's other things that I think Americans would absolutely enjoy, and other people, not just Americans. I know there's people from everywhere watching, but there are some more palatable foods as well. But you know, if you want to be adventurous, I can tell you where to start. Find a street vendor that's selling stinky tofu, and yep, that's what it's called, chou tofu, and give that a try. If you can get past the smell, it's called that for a reason. It does have a very powerful smell, and when you smell it, you'll know immediately what I'm talking about. But definitely worth a try. Well, I think that's about all I've got for this video, so I'll go ahead and get it put together and get it uploaded. And tomorrow, I guess you can join us on our ride to Shanghai. I'm not sure when I'll be able to get it uploaded, so if you don't see anything for a day, it's probably because I'm on the road. But I'll see what I can do to get it uploaded. Maybe I can find like a Starbucks. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't go into stores anymore. So never mind, when I get a chance, I will get it uploaded. So I guess we'll see you in the next one.